Welcome back to the daily morning sports feed on Reds Army, with me as editor Olivia. Today, let's take a look at some notable sports news in the past 24 hours. Thank you for always supporting and accompanying us. Come to the following hot news. Nick Kyrgios bounced out of US Open by Karen Khachanov in quarterfinal thriller. Yelich hits the longest home run of the year. Nick Kyrgios bounced out of US Open by Karen Khachanov in quarterfinal thriller. It is the overcooked forehand in a thriller that might have cost Nick Kyrgios a Grand Slam title. As gallant as the Australian was when edged 7-5, 4-6, 7-5, 6-7, 4, 6-4 by Karen Khachanov at the US Open, one wonders whether such a golden chance will ever come again. The frustration he showed on exiting the court suggested he realized as much. Smashed rackets. And more. It is a shame, because although beaten, he put up a strong fight. Kyrgios was shattered by the loss, saying he felt mentally distraught. There really wasn't anything in it, he said. I'm just devastated, obviously. I just feel like it was either winning it all or nothing at all, to be honest. I feel like I've just failed at this event right now. That's what it feels like. But back to the forehand. The favorite for the US Open title after the exit of Rafael Nadal, the Australian looked finally to have found his rhythm in what proved a moody yet electric quarterfinal on Tuesday night at Flushing Meadows. Deep in the third set of a tight encounter at 4 games all, 2 break points arose against the rangy Russian who played superbly to produce his career-best performance in a Grand Slam. On the second of those points, Kyrgios worked into position to punish a forehand. Instead of searing a line, as so many of his shots had throughout the first week in New York, the 23rd seed blasted it well beyond the baseline. Bereft, it drained his belief for a period. The Wimbledon finalist was extremely fortunate to receive a reprieve from Khachanov, who held his nerve and concentration for long enough to break his rival, in the next game. But the Russian, who had previously reached quarterfinals at Roland Garros and Wimbledon, was relentless. He used his reach well to blunt Kyrgios's spectacular serve, and the same reach came to the fore when Khachanov, whose forehand technique resembles the crane kick deployed by Daniel LaRusso in The Karate Kid, whipped one up the line that proved too heavy for Kyrgios to handle on set point. Had Kyrgios made the forehand at 4-4, percentages suggest he would have won the match to set up a semifinal against Casper Ruud. But tennis is a sport of fine margins. The tougher competitor, both physically and mentally, came up trumps. While Kyrgios played a superb tiebreaker in the fourth set to extend the match, it was Khachanov who finished too strongly in the decider to reach his first Grand Slam semifinal. Kyrgios had started the match a heavy favorite following his dismantling of Khachanov's compatriot Daniil Medvedev, the defending champion. But the record book suggested it would be far closer. When they played at Melbourne Park in 2020, the final 4 sets of another thriller won by Kyrgios ended in tiebreakers. And so it proved. The signs for Kyrgios were ominous early. Khachanov was serving bullets, and with it clear the Russian was up for the challenge, the Australian began reaching for his left knee. The first set was not quite a case of blink and you missed it. But it was tennis at its most rapid, with Khachanov edging ahead 7-5 in just 35 minutes with a superb backhand lob. This was the type of tennis officials once feared would become commonplace until measures were put in place to slow the pace a little. Big men serving even bigger, which does little to entertain fans. Dare we suggest it, but the early tedium might explain the bizarre behavior that saw 2 patrons booted out of Arthur Ashe Stadium after one began shaving the head of the other. When that lob landed in, the quarterfinal had swung in Khachanov's favor. The Australian called for medical treatment on the niggle that was bothering him and started the second set in sharper fashion, snaring a break to lead 2-1. That proved enough, so soundly did the Australian serve for the rest of the set to level the match. Khachanov saved 2 break points in the opening game of the third set. Then the moment of truth arrived. Kyrgios looked to have the upper hand, but the match flipped on that missed forehand. Instead of leading into the fourth set, he had a mountain to climb that proved too difficult to surmount. To his great credit, the 27-year-old showed fight. He could have turned it up his tail. Instead he forced a fifth set. But when he dropped in the opening game, the writing was on the wall. The Australian's best season at Grand Slam level, one where he came close to becoming a champion, is over. That's all people remember at a Grand Slam, whether you win or you lose, he said. I think pretty much every other tournament during the year is a waste of time really. You should just run up and show up at a Grand Slam. That's what you're remembered by. Yelich hits the longest home run of the year. The Brewers wasted no time making mile-high memories with a moonshot for the ages on Tuesday night, as Christian Yelich drove the fourth pitch of the game from Rockies starter Chad Kuhl. A StatCast projected 499 feet to the third deck at Coors Field. It's the longest dinger of the 2022 season so far. It's also the third longest tracked by StatCast, since 2015, surpassed by only Nomar Mazara, 505 feet, and Giancarlo Stanton, 504. And while it launched a dominant 7 innings from Brandon Woodruff and the Brewers, who led by 5 runs heading to the bottom of the 8th, it didn't keep Milwaukee from suffering a brutal 10-7 loss in 10 innings. It felt pretty good, but obviously a tough night afterwards for us, Yelich said of his epic long ball, as the crew dropped to 3 games back in the National League wildcard race. It's one of those ones where everything kind of lines up for you, catching a really good spot. Oddly enough, it was my first home run, at Coors Field, in 9 or 10 times playing here, 100 previous at-bats. So I guess if you're gonna wait that long, make it count. It was the second longest home run of the StatCast era at Coors Field, behind Stanton's 504-foot shot on August 6, 2016, when he was with the Marlins. Ironically, when Stanton set that mark from the cleanup spot, Yelich was hitting in front of him as they were 3-4 in the order. Stanton got that one pretty good, Yelich recalled. He hits balls like that all the time, but I do actually remember that one. It was a pretty good one. Tuesday's blast was Yelich's 4th career leadoff homer, and his 2nd of the season. It is the longest home run of his career, far eclipsing his previous mark of 462 feet. At least give me the extra foot, Yelich joked about just missing the 500-foot club. It'll be cooler tomorrow after the tough loss wears off. But yeah, we need the extra 12 inches. The towering blast was Yelich's 12th of the year and first since August 28 against Chicago, and it elevated a rough road trip that saw him hitting .143, 1 for 7, entering the game. He ended up 2 for 5, suffering a tough break when his 9th-inning liner with a runner on first was hit right at Rockies rookie third baseman Elehuris Montero for an inning-ending double play. The previous longest home run of the season was by the Marlins' Jesus Sanchez, who went 496 feet also at Coors Field. The only blemish on Woodruff's line was a third-inning solo shot to left from Montero. You can put this one up there, with my best of the season. Woodruff said of his outing, I was just executing, and I think if I can do that anywhere, I can throw like that all the time. Just make quality pitches. But after Woodruff exited, the first 4 Colorado batters in the 8th doubled their team's hit total, capped by a 3-run blast from Jonathan Daza in his first game back from the injured list to bring the Rockies within a run. Randall Grichuk tied the game, 6-6, with a 2-out solo shot to left. That was the effort that we needed from Woody, manager Craig Counsell said. 7 innings here, he pitched a heck of a game. He put us in a great spot to win the game. So I went to Luis Perdomo, and it happened fast, obviously. Just nothing good happened after that, frankly. Woodruff questioned himself about his exit, but he didn't second-guess his manager or his teammates. Trust me, I don't feel good about it, Woodruff said. But that last inning, I had a quick inning, but the ball wasn't coming out the way I'd like, and I was kind of getting close to the end there. Honestly, it was the right time. Start a clean inning with a reliever. It just didn't go our way, and that's the sucky part. After a scoreless 9th, Yelich started the 10th frame as the designated runner on second and scored on a Willie Adams double to left, but the Rockies tied it against reliever Taylor Rogers when Daza plated Ryan McMahon with his own double to left. With 1 out and runners on first and third in the 10th, and the infield pulled in, Grichuk went deep, launching a 457-foot, 3-run homer into the left field bleachers. You just have to bounce back. You don't have a choice, Yelich said of the latest in a series of tough losses. It feels like the last few months. Every couple of days there's a heartbreaking loss. But in this game, there's nothing you can do besides come back the next day and find a way to win that one. And those are also the most outstanding morning news today. Thank you to everyone for listening and following redsarmy's daily news. If you find the video interesting and useful, please click like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the latest sports news.